Hello, it's Colette from the Sacred Rose Temple. I am wanting to speak to you with regards to something that's moving in our collective at the moment. I've just finished my energy forecast and really wanted to speak more about this feminine field where it feels like the feminine is finally waking up on a deep collective level, and that is calling us forward. We're seeing it in our news, the power of the patriarchy, which is within females as well, that patriarchal structure that is trying to come into balance with a matriarchal one. And in order to do that, it takes the feminine principle to rise in all of us, men and women. But with women more particularly at the forefront of becoming awake. I have been fused and infused with myth and fairy tale over the last 7 years within my Jungian studies. And this was always something deeply profound for me as a child. And also when I studied my degree, I did a degree in English studies and a master's in creative writing. And in schools, when I was teaching, I was submersed in myth and stories that I used to tell my teenagers. I taught from age 11 to 19. So there was just this big submersive field of story. And the architecture of story was always in the written form for me as I was embarking on a writing master's. But what Jung has done to me, what the field of fairy tales as an adult has done to me, is seeing that this is deep psychospiritual work, that it allows women and men, but my focus being on women, to really receive medicine and wisdom from stories that are woven into our cells and bones. They've been told to us, to our ancestors, over and over again. And they speak to the feminine soul directly with symbolic and emotional layers of the psyche where true transformations begin to form in us. So women don't really heal through logic, information, productivity. A feminine psyche really responds to image, story, archetype, rhythm, symbology, dream, and meaning. And myths bypass the surface personality. That's what I want to say. They bypass that persona, that surface stuff, and they enter into the deeper waters of the unconscious, where women's instinct, memory, longing, and your soul resides. And I have been experienced such profound insights. I've got really deep, like 7 years in now to this Jungian study field. And my dreams are absolutely active. I've been logging them at least for 5 years, and over the last couple of years, daily analysis on them to really help me move forward with the next part of my life. And I think we as women, we've sat around the fire of stories in all our lifetimes and with all our ancestors. And it really allows our psyche to learn deep lessons about transformations, initiations that we get in the feminine field. And for me, approaching 50, it really has come alive in my body that these myths, these archetypes, these stories are absolutely essential for understanding initiation and transformation. And now that I've done enough work in it, I'm really, my soul is singing from my bones to bring out a container in which I can work with women on a monthly basis and studying a myth each month, a particular goddess or a central character, to help us understand how those complexes lie in our own psyches, what they want to teach us, what we can gain from it, and the deeper questions that may help you in a space of deep transformation. For women who've done the Women Who Runs with Wolves with me, know that every single month in that text becomes apparent in your own life. It's so crazily synchronistic that it really begins you running in this field of unconsciousness. And that's what I want to work with more deeply. These containers are for women who really want to do the deep work. It is aligning with a blog that I wrote this week. I wrote about me making the analogy, because what starts to happen when you're doing this myth is you begin to see real life circumstances as particular stories or myths. And it became really apparent that this story we've all been talking about, the motherless, the grape site, the motherless, I was like, what is this archetypal field? What is this story? And of course, it's Sleeping Beauty. And Sleeping Beauty is a fairy tale that asks us as women to wake up in a world. And what happens if we don't? So the story of the Sleeping Beauty awakens the aftermath of the motherless website and reveals that the story is indeed still alive in our collective. If you want to read more about that, then it's in the blog below. So the blog really goes into detail on how that parallels some of the things that we're seeing in our collective at the moment. And what struck me the most was that in the Gayam Batista version, please correct me if I'm wrong, the Sleeping Beauty wasn't awoken by a prince at all. The earlier versions, she was awakened by a king who was penetrating her while she was asleep. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is this telling us as the feminine? The men have got to do their own work. That field is for them to work out, that field of distortion. Mine is with the feminine. Women sleeping from the instinct, sleeping from the anger, the sovereignty, the erotic intelligence, their life force, their sacred sexual self. And this is why I knew I got the message to bring out the 13 roses again. Women need to be connected to their erotic life force, not for anyone else, but for them, for the sense of space and time and body and autonomy. And so that they're deeply intuitive and instinctive, and they can tell if they're with a man that's going to be looking at those kinds of things. So this is my work with women. I want women to be so awakened that men have no chance of doing that, because we'd snipe that in a minute. So the sleeping feminine asks for nothing because she cannot speak. That's Sleeping Beauty. And this is precisely why the modern confrontation with pornography culture really feels so psychologically profound right now. Much of the imagery that increasingly disturbed women involve the unconscious itself, women asleep, intoxicated, passive, immobilized, filmed without awareness, transformed into objects rather than a deeply amazing, beautiful goddess worth worshipping. So the archetype of the Sleeping Beauty is very much at the forefront, and it belongs to emotional suppression, systems that have severed men from vulnerability, grief, tenderness, embodiment, and feeling, and the patriarchal structures that taught men conquest before transformation. So there's a huge field alive here, and I really want to act on it. Read my Sleeping Beauty blog, read why myths in my blog are important and fairy tales. And I invite you all tomorrow night, which is Tuesday, the 12th of May, to come on a journey with me with Sleeping Beauty. I'm going to awaken the sleeping feminine within your psyche on a very sacred transmissional journey. If you join me, all you need to do is put your headphones on, turn off the lights, light a candle. I'm going to take you on a journey. If you can't come live, if you sign up and register, then you will see that the recording will be sent to your email box. So don't miss this out. This is going to be a whole series of work I'm going to be bringing out. And I want you to just get a little taste of what it's like to journey deep into the depth of your psyche. So looking forward to seeing all of you on Tuesday. This is late notice, but I'm striking while the iron's hot. Take care for now and speak to you all soon.